More than 1,000 kilometers east of Africa, nestled within the vast Indian Ocean, lie the Seychelles, a scattered archipelago of granitic islands and coral atolls. One of the most remote of these has become a sanctuary to a huge variety of wildlife, including several species of turtles, rays, crabs, and other marine life. But this place is important for one animal in particular: sharks.
When I first came here in 2013, we knew that there are sharks, but we didn't know how many.
This small, isolated atoll has become a sanctuary to a staggeringly large population of sharks. Ornella and the Save Our Seas Daras Research Center team set out to understand why. Daras Island and St. Joseph's Atoll are situated on the Amarantes Bank. The atoll comprises of 14 islets and a shallow sandy lagoon. At low tide, it is encircled by an uninterrupted reef. Such a dense population makes this an irresistible location for shark scientist Ornella Weideli.
We need sharks in the ocean in order to have a natural ecosystem. Sharks are kind of the garbage man of the ocean, so they're eating the weak one, the old ones. So it's a both top-down and bottom-up importance that sharks have on the ocean and the ocean has on sharks.
Pristine and uninhabited by people, wildlife on St. Joseph's has thrived. But just 250 kilometers northeast, on the inner Seychelles Islands, the reality is very different. Unlike other iconic species in Seychelles, sharks are unprotected. Targeted by large fisheries, populations here are in rapid decline following the global trend. As a result, traditional shark fishing practiced for centuries is now also unsustainable. Seychelles is developing rapidly and has become a much more accessible destination than it once was, adding to the strain on this group of small islands and its wildlife. This is one reason why the isolated St. Joseph's Atoll attracts such a diversity of species. Over several years of careful observation, the team have gained some intriguing insights into the dynamics of life in the atoll.
17.1. The tides that change with every moon phase. It gets from very spring tide to low neap tides. The atoll itself completely changes. So it also changes for the animals that live in there.
At low tide, a whiptail ray seeks protection in an isolated pool, taking care not to become stranded in the midday sun. Each species has found a niche in relation to the rise and fall of these tides. Red land crabs descend to scour the exposed shore for food. As the tide rises, they are forced to retreat to the forest. Meanwhile, black-tipped sharks explore and forage in the sanctuary of the lagoon. But these juvenile sharks are not immune to the continual changes of the tide. As the water rises, they must move to the safety of the shallows.
The sharks have to be dynamic. They have to be as dynamic as the atoll itself. So they need to keep on moving in order to survive. When it's full moon or new moon, the tides are very extreme, and this allows bigger sharks, like lemons, to come in. We see them cruising along the sand flat and potentially hunt baby sharks.
On the incoming tide, adult lemon sharks are able to cross the frontier of the surrounding reef and move into the lagoon. With their excellent sense of hearing, they can detect prey up to 100 meters away, such as crabs, rays, and even small sharks. The murky incoming water and the tangled mangrove roots offer some protection for a vulnerable black tip. But despite their size, lemons can maneuver in this very shallow water, often exposing their distinctive angular fins. They close in using special cells that detect the tiny electrical fields given off by all living things. A flexible cartilage skeleton enables them to contort in and around these confined spaces. This time, the blacktip manages to slip away, and the window of opportunity begins to close for the lemons. It will be another 12 hours before they meet again at the next high tide. On Daros, Ornella prepares to go into the atoll to collect shark data, which she hopes will prove the importance of St. Joseph's. She too can only access the lagoon at high tide.
When we look at the St. Joseph Atoll, it looks like a perfect paradise island. Beautiful palm trees with the crystal clear waters, the white sand. But there's so many species living in there. There needs to be enough space for them. There needs to be enough food for them. We usually start with what species is it, what sex is it, what time, which GPS location. And after that, we get into the more detailed information. And then Ryan will turn him upside down to see how his umbilical looks. And that one is closed, so you can write down number 3. We put a small microchip, so in case of a recapture, you can read the unique number of each individual.
Forkling 55 on the dot.
We got a 1.8.
After a few minutes, the shark is released back into the lagoon. Ornella's vast amount of data will take considerable time to analyze, but one thing is clear.
I had the most amazing time discovering this place. Over the last 3 years, I collected 651 individual sharks. So we can for sure say it's a shark nursery. The most important thing for the future, I think, it's that it stays as it has been. There's nobody living there, there's no boats coming in, no fishing activity, and that's how it should stay and should be forever.
St. Joseph's Atoll is one of the few truly wild places that remain for sharks. In our rapidly developing world, it is vital we protect them.